In today's lesson, you will learn how to draw three-dimensional figures several different ways. Drawing is a valuable skill in geometry because you will often need to either create or analyze a drawing to solve problems. There's actually three different types of drawings you're going to learn how to do today. The first is called the isometric drawing. Repeat that word, isometric. An isometric drawing is drawing a three-dimensional shape so that you have a corner view and it actually looks three-dimensional, like this. You're actually, once you copy down this definition on the blank, going to practice creating an isometric drawing. You're going to copy this isometric drawing onto the dot paper to the right. I'm going to give you a couple tips to get started. A good place to start on any isometric drawing is to start with a base. So let's look at the base sides here and here and figure out how long they're supposed to be in our own drawing. See how this section here is connecting 4 dots? So the step in the staircase is 4 dots wide. So when we're copying that over to the right, we need to be certain that we're connecting 4 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to do the same thing with the other section of the base. Take a moment to count how many dots you're connecting there. That would be 7 dots, so starting here, count 7 dots total and connect it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you have the complete base. I'm going to give you just a couple more tips and then you're going to try to do the second half of the drawing on your own. I would recommend getting most of the outline of the staircase before getting the details. So that wall where the staircase ends here might be a good place to do that. That's 4 dots. So here you could count 4 dots up. Next, we're going to go back to the bottom of the staircase and work our way up from there. So to get this first step, see how these two edges are one jump high, it's connecting 2 dots. So you can do that, one jump high, on each edge of this baseline here to get that part of the stair and then connect it. So each step is 1 jump high and 2 jumps back, 2 jumps wide. So you can jump 2 times, or you could think of it as connecting 3 dots, there and there. I want you to pause the video here and complete the rest of the drawing as best as you can. So to complete the drawing, you continue the pattern of first finish that first step by connecting those 2 lines, counting 1 up on each edge of the step and then 2 back. You have 1 more step, 1 up and then 2 back. And then you just complete it with that last line. To make your isometric drawing look even more three-dimensional, I recommend shading to add some shadow. Next problem, you're going to apply what you've learned about isometric drawing in a different way. Your job is to identify which cube structure out of the 4 below matches the isometric drawing shown to the right. My tip for you is to look at your original drawing on the right and highlight the top of each piece of it, like that. Because that's one thing that you can pretty easily check on each figure and see, do the top sides match? Pause the video here and try question 2 on your own. If you look at the first option, this section of the top definitely doesn't match this section of the top here, so that's ruled out. It cannot be F. G, so far so good. We have a 4 square top here to match the 4 square top here. So if we look at the other pieces, this is 4 squares. Oh, the original only had a shorter rectangle, only 2 connected square pieces making that top section here. So G is ruled out. If you look at H, this piece is definitely too small to match this piece. And if you look at I, the top matches here. They're both 4 units wide square. And you have 2 smaller rectangles here and here. I is your answer. So when you have isometric dot paper, it's easier to draw and have it actually turn out looking three-dimensional, but you're not always going to have that available. So here's some tips for when you have a problem where you need to draw, but no dot paper. If you want to draw, for example, a rectangular prism, a good step is to first draw the front face, just that rectangle. Go ahead and copy that down on your paper. Now I want you to draw the exact same size and shape rectangle, but overlapping it more to the right and above of the original, like so. Now connect the matching corners of your 2 rectangles like that. And you have a rectangular prism. This works for other types of three-dimensional shapes too. For example, a triangular prism, draw a triangle for the front face. Draw another triangle more to the right and above. They don't necessarily have to overlap. One could be further right and above. Connect the matching corners, and you have your triangular prism. Go ahead and copy both those prisms on your paper if you haven't already done so. Don't forget, you are always free to pause the video if you need a little bit more time for a problem. Next, we're going to talk about how to create an orthographic drawing. Go ahead and copy down the following definition. An orthographic drawing is actually taking a three-dimensional shape and splitting it into 3 side views. One view from the top, one view from the front, and one view from the side. So this is an example of an orthographic drawing breaking down this figure here. For question number 4, you're going to look at the isometric drawing on the right, and based on that drawing, label each orthographic drawing either front, right, or top. My tip for you as you try number 4 is to start by shading one set of sides, whether the front sides, the right sides, or the top sides, and then identifying whether that shaded section matches A, B, or C. So I would recommend starting by shading the top. Then you could look at that shaded section, all the top sides, and see whether those sections put together to create A, B, or C. Pause here and try number 4 on your own. If you look at which one of these, A, B, or C, matches the top view, A does because it has 2 squares stacked on top of each other and a rectangle. If you shade the view from the right, it looks like this. That would be first a small square, and then next to it to the right, a rectangle with a small square on top of it. So that would be B. B would actually be the right view. And then if you shade all the sides that are facing the front view, you could see how this larger square and then this stacked set of a small square and a rectangle together form this figure. So that would be the front view. To create an orthographic drawing, a good rule of thumb is to start by shading your picture. This one is pre-shaded for you, so all the front view sides are in green, all the right is in orange, and so on. So when you want to create your view from the front side, look at everything shaded in green. Notice how each step is 3 units, 3 jumps wide, or you could think of it as connecting 4 dots. So start by drawing a line that connects 4 dots and make that into a rectangle. That represents that first front side of that step. Now if you're standing in front of the stairs and you're seeing only the front side of each step, they would look like they were stacking on top of each other. So it looked like 3 rectangles representing each front of a step. Go ahead and copy that down. Next, you're going to do the right view of your orthographic drawing. So for the right view, if you count the base and connect the same number of dots, and then from there you can notice how each step goes up 1 and back 2, and how this section here goes up 4 dots. If you count each step up 1, over 2. You then have the view from the right of your staircase. For the top view, we shaded all the top sides of the steps in blue. So if we put that together, one step would be 2 units wide, 2 jumps wide, or you could think of it as 3 dots, and 4 dots long. And then you have 3 steps like that. And if you're hovering above your staircase in a helicopter, it would look like they were all in a row connected. Go ahead and complete your orthographic drawing. And then we're going to talk about the last type of three-dimensional drawing you need to know for geometry. The last type of drawing is called a net. Copy down that definition. A net is a flat, two-dimensional diagram that would fold to make a three-dimensional figure. So these are pictures that give examples of a net. If you folded these triangles up to meet at the top, it would make a pyramid. So this is a net that folds to make a three-dimensional figure. If we folded these rectangles together, it would create a rectangular prism or a box. This is an important note. Sometimes on your homework or in quizzes, you'll have a question that asks you to label the dimensions of your net. To label the dimensions really just means to label how long each section of your net is. For example, this section's 3 centimeters long, this section's 6 centimeters long. Dimensions really just refers to things like length, width, and height of a shape like this. Pause here and try number 6. You should get A. Well done if you got A. I want you to notice that out of all your options, A, B, C, and D, the only option that has 2 pentagons as part of it is A, 5-sided shapes. This one has 6 sides instead, so it doesn't quite work. Pause here and try number 7, parts A, B, and C on your own. If you look to the figure to the right, it has a triangle facing you and then a triangle behind that, parallel to the original triangle. So that's 2 triangles. If you said 2 triangles, well done. How many sides or faces does your figure have that are rectangles? Well, there's a base rectangle, there's a rectangle on the right, and then there's a rectangle on the left. That would be 3. Out of the nets below, there's only one that has exactly 2 triangle sides and 3 rectangular sides, and that would be the first one. Well done if you identified the first one as your net that folds if you took these triangles and folded them up and these rectangles and folded them up to create this figure. Pause here and try number 8. Your job is to identify A, B, and C as isometric, orthographic, or a net drawing. If you said A is a net, well done. If you said B is an orthographic drawing, excellent job. See how it's broken down into 3 different views, one from top, one from the front, one from the right? That would be orthographic. And last but not least, you have an isometric drawing. It actually looks three-dimensional because it's from a corner view. It's out of the 3, the only type that actually looks three-dimensional. Now these 3 types of drawings have some very interesting applications to different career paths in real life. Pause here and identify these 3 pictures as a real-life application of isometric, orthographic, or net drawing. A, if you said orthographic, well done. It's taking a drawing, planning out how to create a car, and breaking it down into views from the side and the front and above. B is an isometric drawing. If you got isometric for B, excellent work. It's isometric because it's using special paper to create a blueprint that actually looks three-dimensional. And C would be a net. It's actually a sewing pattern to create a seat cushion.